Dear brothers and sisters, peace be with you. Today we gather with hearts that carry many stories, stories of joy, of hope, but also of wounds. Some wounds are fresh, some have grown old, some we have caused, and some have been caused to us. Let us pause for a moment in silence and allow our hearts to listen to the gentle stirring within us. Forgiveness is not just an idea. It is a journey, a path that sets the prisoner free. And sometimes that prisoner is ourselves. Today, let us walk a little way together along this path. Forgiveness is a seed planted in wounded soil. It does not grow in perfect gardens. It does not sprout in places without sorrow. Forgiveness takes root exactly where the ground is broken, where the heart is hurting, where the tears have fallen. It is in these very places that the Lord comes near, like a quiet gardener. Stooping low, his hands filled with seeds of mercy. How often we think we must first heal completely before we can forgive. As if forgiveness were the reward of the strong, of the already whole. But the gospel shows us another way. Jesus hanging from the cross, abandoned, mocked, pierced, speaks forgiveness at the very height of his pain. Not after the resurrection, not after the wounds have closed, but there, while the nails still tear at his flesh, he says, Father, forgive them. Forgiveness is born amid the wounds. In our daily lives, we meet so many places of brokenness. Mother who carries it of silent hurt from a son who no longer calls. A neighbor who speaks harshly behind our back. A workplace where trust has been shattered. A home where words have wounded deeper than any weapon. These are not stories from a book. They are the fields where we walk every day. They are the cracked earth where God invites us to plant a seed. And it is small, this seed. Sometimes it feels invisible. It can seem impossible. How can I forgive when I am still hurting? We ask. And yet, even the tiniest seed carries the promise of life. It begins not with feeling, but with a choice. A choice to entrust the hurt into the hands of the one who alone can bring forth new life. A choice to say, even trembling, Lord, help me to forgive. Think a poor man who lives under the bridge, who has lost everything to violence, who bears the scars of betrayal. He does not wait until his life is made perfect before forgiving. Often it is he who forgives first with a heart freer than those who have many possessions. Forgiveness is the wealth of the poor. It is the strength of the weak. It is the light of those who walk through the darkest valleys. And so, brothers and sisters, we are called not to wait, not to wait until we feel ready, not to wait until others deserve it. Forgiveness is never deserved. It is always a gift we ourselves have first received from a merciful God. Let us begin by planting a small seed, a whispered prayer for the one who wounded us, a decision to no longer rehearse the injury in our mind, a willingness to ask God for a heart bigger than our own pain. Forgiveness does not deny justice. It does not erase the truth, but it chooses to believe that even wounded ground can bring forth flowers. It chooses to trust that God is greater than our sin, greater than our hurt, greater than the walls we build around our hearts. Today, if you hear His voice, harden not your heart. Today, the Lord bends low, offering the seed in His hand. Will you take it? Will you let it be planted, even in the place of your deepest wound? The world is waiting for the flowers of forgiveness. The world is starving for mercy, and each of us can be the humble gardener who says simply, "Yes, Lord, plant your mercy in me." Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is remembering with love. To forgive not mean to erase the past as if it had never happened. It does not mean pretending that wounds do not hurt or that injustice does not cry out to heaven. No. Forgiveness does not erase the memory. Forgiveness transforms it. It takes what was a heavy chain and little by little turns it into a bridge that can lead to peace. There are memories we carry that feel like stones in our pockets, heavy and cold. The harsh word spoken by a parent in anger, the betrayal of a friend we trusted, the cruelty of a world that often forgets the smallest ones, the ones with no voice. These memories are real. They have shaped us. And yet forgiveness invites us to touch these memories not with bitterness, but tenderness. When Jesus rose from the dead, His body still bore the wounds of the cross. The nails, the spear, the crown of thorns, all had left their mark. He did not hide them. He showed them to His disciples. "Look," He said, "see my hands and my side." His wounds had not disappeared, but they no longer spoke of death. They spoke of love. They were no longer the wounds of defeat. They had become the wounds of victory. This is the mystery of forgiveness. It does not deny the pain. It does not ask us to pretend we were never hurt, but it changes the way we remember. It teaches us to look upon the scars of our life with the eyes of Christ, with eyes that see not just what was broken, but what was redeemed, with eyes that see not only the suffering, but the mercy that has been poured into the suffering. I think of an old woman I met once living in a small village, far from the cities. She had lost her son to violence many years before. She had every reason to be bitter, to close her heart. But when she spoke of her son, she did not speak with hatred. Her eyes filled with tears, but also with light. I remember him with love, she said. I cannot forget what happened, but I ask God every day to let me remember with love, not anger. Her heart had been broken, but it had not been hardened. This is the grace we must seek, dear brothers and sisters, to remember with love, to touch our memories, not with fists closed in anger, but with hands open in prayer, to allow God to enter even into the darkest corners of our past, to heal, to bless, and to bring forth new life. Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is the courage to love beyond the wound. It is the strength to look at the past and to choose not revenge but hope, not hatred but healing, not condemnation but compassion. Today, let us ask for this grace. Let us not be prisoners of our past. Let us not carry stones in our hearts. Let us carry the memories. Yes. But transfigured by love. Let the Spirit come and breathe over our wounds as He breathed over the chaos at the dawn of creation. Let Him create again in our hearts a world of peace. Today, if you hear His voice calling you to forgive, calling you to remember with love, do not harden your heart. Open it. Open it just a little, and the Lord will do the rest. Forgiveness frees the poor prisoner inside us. Often we believe that holding on to our anger, our resentment, our hurt will protect us, that it will shield us from being wounded again. We close the doors of our heart. We bolt them shut. We say, never again will I trust. Never again will I open myself to be hurt. But in doing so, dear brothers and sisters, it is we who become prisoners. We chain ourselves to the past. We lock ourselves in a cell built by our own hands. There is a sorrow heavier than poverty, heavier than sickness, heavier than any injustice. It is the sorrow of a heart that refuses to forgive. It is a heavy burden, a burden that bends us down and robs us of our joy. We see it sometimes in faces hardened by years of bitterness, faces that have forgotten how to smile, how to hope. It is not because life was easy for them. No, often their suffering was great. But somewhere along the road, they chose to carry the weight of anger instead of letting it go. And yet, Jesus comes. He stands outside the prison of our hearts and He knocks, not with violence, but with force, with love. He says, come out, be free. He does not force the door open. He invites, He waits. In the gospel, how many times do we see Jesus freeing people? freeing the woman caught in adultery from condemnation, freeing the tax collector from his greed, freeing the possessed from their chains of fear. Always Jesus comes to set the prisoner free. And forgiveness, both the forgiveness we receive and the forgiveness we give, is the key. I think of a man I once met who lived for many years estranged from his own brother. A small argument, a harsh word, and pride did the rest. Decades passed. They lived in the same town but never spoke. One day, when the younger brother became gravely ill, the elder brother found the courage to visit him. In the hospital room, no grand speeches were made, no long explanations. Just two old men with tears in their eyes grasping each other's hands. In that moment, years of chains fell away. In that moment, two prisoners were set free. Forgiveness not change the past, but it changes the present. It makes a future possible. It lets love breathe again. It lets the soul rise again. Dear brothers and sisters, we are not made for prisons. We are made for freedom. We are made for communion. We are made for love. Do not let anger, no matter how justified it feels, be the master of your heart. Do not let resentment be the soil in which your life grows. Choose the narrow door. Choose the hard road. Choose the way of mercy. Today, if you hear His voice, whispering freedom into your soul, do not be afraid. Step out of the prison. Forgive. Be free. Let Christ set you free. Forgiveness is the face of Christ to the world. Every time we forgive, we make His mercy visible. We make His love tangible in a world that so often forgets what mercy looks like. The face of Christ is not stern, not harsh, not distant. It is a face that bends low to wash the feet of His disciples, even the one who would betray Him. It is a face that looks with tenderness upon Peter after his denial, not with anger, but with a gaze that heals, that restores, that calls him back to love in our neighborhoods, in our workplaces, in our homes. There are so many wounded hearts, so many faces marked disappointment by fear, by betrayal. And what does the world teach us? To protect ourselves, to strike back, to return wound for wound. But the gospel shows us another way. Jesus shows us another way, the way of the open heart, the way of mercy. I think of a woman I met once in the slums, living in a tiny home patched together with scraps of wood and tin. She had lost everything in her life, her husband, her home, even her health. And yet, when she spoke of those who had wronged her, there was no bitterness, only a gentle sadness and a quiet strength. I forgive, she said, because God has forgiven me much more. Her face weathered by hardship, shone with a beauty the world could not give. She was poor in possessions, but rich in mercy, and through her the face of Christ was visible, even there among the rubble. Forgiveness makes Christ present. It makes him present not only in the grand cathedrals, but in the broken places of the world, in the broken places of our lives. When you forgive, you hold up a mirror to heaven. You remind the world of a love that is not earned but given freely, lavishly, without measure. The world does not need more judges. It does not need more accusers. It needs more witnesses of mercy. It needs faces that reflect the gentleness of crisis, that know how to smile even through tears. Faces that know how to embrace even those who have caused pain. Dear brothers and sisters, this is our call. This is our mission, to let His face shine through our own, to be living icons of His mercy. Every act of forgiveness, even the smallest one, is a light in the darkness. Every word of pardon is a seed of hope. Today, if you feel the weight of anger pressing on your heart, if you find it hard to forgive, look at His face. Look at the face of Christ on the cross. There you will find the courage to begin. There you will find the mercy you need. Let us be the ones who show the world that love is stronger than hate. Let us be the ones who carry the face of Christ into every wounded place. Forgive, and you will be His face. Forgive, and you will be His hands. Forgive, and you will be His heart in a world that thirsts for mercy. Forgiveness is a journey, a path we walk step by step, often with trembling feet. It is not always a sudden act, not always a grand gesture. Sometimes it is slow, like the dawning of light in the early morning. Sometimes it is fragile, like a small flame flickering in the wind. But every step toward forgiveness is a step toward freedom, a step toward life. In the Gospel, when Peter asks Jesus, "How often must I forgive?" 7 times. Jesus replies, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. This is not a number to be calculated. It is a way of life to be embraced. Forgiveness is not a one-time act, but a daily choice. A choice made again and again, sometimes in joy, often in struggle. There are days when the hurt feels fresh, when the wound reopens and we feel anger or sorrow rising again. On those days, forgiveness must be renewed. We must bring our hearts back to the cross and say once more, "Lord, I choose to forgive. Help my weakness." We must remember that God is patient with us. And so we must be patient with ourselves and with others. I think of the father who forgave the man who caused the death of his daughter. He said that forgiveness was not a feeling that came all at once, but a decision he made every morning when he opened his eyes. Some mornings were easier, others were filled with tears, but he kept walking the road, one step at a time, trusting that God would carry him when his own strength failed. In our communities, we must also walk this road together. We must forgive not only in our private hearts, but also within our families, our parishes, our neighborhoods. How many divisions begin with small wounds that are left to fester? How many walls are built because forgiveness is delayed? We are called to be bridge builders, not wall builders. Called to extend a hand, to offer a word, to take the first step, even when it costs. Forgiveness is a journey toward communion. It is the road by which enemies become brothers, by which strangers become friends, by which the body of Christ is healed and made whole. Dear brothers and sisters, do not be discouraged by the slowness of the journey. Do not be ashamed of your weakness. Jesus walks this road with us. He knows our wounds. He knows our fears. And He strengthens our steps. Today, if you feel far from forgiveness, take one small step, a prayer, a blessing for the one who hurt you, a quiet decision in your heart to hold no hatred. That is enough for today. And tomorrow, take another step. And the day after, another. Trust that God will complete the work He has begun in you. The road of forgiveness is not easy, but it is the road that leads to life. It is the road that leads to joy. It is the road that leads to the very heart of God. Walk it with courage. Walk it with hope. Walk it hand in hand with the one who first forgave you. And you will find that what seemed impossible will bloom into peace. Dear brothers and sisters, forgiveness is the breath of God upon a wounded world. It is the seed of resurrection planted in the broken soil of our hearts. It is the light that shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Today, we have heard the whisper of Christ calling us to lay down the burdens we were never meant to carry, calling us to be free, calling us to be His face, His hands, His heart for a world in need. Do not be afraid of forgiveness. Do not be afraid to love. Do not be afraid to take the first step, even if it is small, even if it is trembling. Forgive, and you will find peace. Forgive, and you will find joy. Forgive, and you will find God waiting for you, waiting with arms open wide, like the Father who runs to embrace the lost son, like the shepherd who carries the lost sheep home upon his shoulders. The journey is not easy, but you are not alone. Christ walks with you. He strengthens your hands. He dries your tears. He fills your heart with courage. Every act of mercy you offer, no matter how small, no matter how hidden, becomes a part of His great work of healing the world. Good luck, dear friends, as you walk this sacred path of forgiveness. May your steps be steady. May your hearts be brave. May your lives be shining lamps that guide others out of the shadows into the marvelous light of God's love. Thank you. Thank you for opening your hearts today. Thank you for listening not only with your ears, but with your souls. Thank you for your desire to live the gospel with tenderness, with humility, with courage. May the Lord bless you and keep you always in His peace. And may you be, for the world, a living sign of the power of forgiveness. Amen.